Welcome to Fireside Chats with Luke and Zuck.
A weekly podcast where we cover the latest business, technology, and vehicle news.
All right, let's get into it. I heard you had a topic.
I do. So the Zuck Musk cage fight.
I had that too.
I'm really looking forward to that. I tell you what, I'd pay good money to see that fight. I'm sure it's gonna be held in Vegas probably, but
it's gotta be, right?
yeah. So Dana White was kind of interviewed about this, and he kind of hinted that he's already in the works of setting this thing up, and of course he's like gun ho about it because this is his that's his thing, right? That's his livelihood.
Sure.
So he's
if there's anyone to do it, Dana White's probably the best person to put it on. So
absolutely. Well, it said that that Zuck actually got in contact with Dana and was like, is Elon serious about this? So then Dana White messaged Elon about it, and Elon was like, I'm dead serious. So,
all right.
Sounds like it's on. Who knows when, but Dana is thinking $100 per pay-per-view, and generally it's like 60 to 80. And he also said that this it would be the biggest fight ever, in his opinion. $1 billion in revenue.
$1 billion
$1 billion is what he's estimating, and I think it could hit it. I mean, the last fights have hit like 400 to 600 million in revenue.
Like the what was the one? Mayweather McGregor.
Exactly.
Was probably the biggest.
Probably so. I think it was
around there.
Yeah, and it was in that range, 400 600
Okay.
million.
I was thinking honestly that
Double
might have been
size.
100K, or sorry, 100 million. So if that's what those numbers were, I could easily see that.
Yeah, like there was a lot of people who, like myself, aren't into fighting, but like still would watch like the Mayweather McGregor fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is like who wouldn't watch this fight, right?
I know. It's kind of like a freak fight. It's not like. It's like you don't watch it because there's skill involved. You watch it because it's like watching a train wreck almost.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly there's something to watching two guys who are not professional fighters fight. That's almost more interesting to me than watching professional fighters fight.
There's actually an interesting tidbit on there about that though, and that's why my money is on Marky Mark, Mr. Zucker, the Zuck.
Is it just because of the training he's got under his belt at this point?
Yes. So Zuckerberg has been training jiu-jitsu and has recently won a gold and silver medal at a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition.
Really?
In Woodside, California. Which immediately any formal training, I think, puts him at an advantage. But the other side of it is that Elon Musk is 6'1" and Zuckerberg is 5'7". So Musk is definitely going to have the reach on him. Also, I think Musk is about 60 pounds heavier than Zuckerberg, which makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. It's not really an even matchup. It's not an even matchup in terms of weight or height, but Zuckerberg has the fighting experience.
What does Zuckerberg weigh?
He weighs I think it's 157 or something, and Musk is 210.
Yeah,
220.
yeah, that's definitely different class fight, but
Yeah, it seems like the sort of thing where if Zuckerberg can get in and get Elon on the ground, because isn't jiu-jitsu grappling and basically taking the fight to the ground and then maintaining control? So if he can take it to the ground and get on top of him, he's probably gonna win it. But if Elon can make some distance and just kind of jab,
yeah, if Elon gets a hit on him, it's over, in my opinion. A good hit on his little nerdy head.
I don't know.
Knock his ass out.
So are you for perpetuity taking
I would love
Elon
to see,
for this? Because I'll take the opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see Elon win. And I mean, it depends. It depends on when the fight is, and is Elon actually going to train for this thing, or is he just going to
I feel like
wing
Elon is busier than Zuckerberg at this point.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
So
He pretty much always has been.
But
Dude pushes like no other.
They both have endless resources as far as coaches and trainers, and I mean, basically they could hire the entire MMA roster to teach them if they want.
Yeah. It's just how much time is Elon actually going to put put in a training and like be dedicated to it. That's what's going to be interesting to see, and I think that might decide whether he wins or not.
I mean, he's agreeing to the fight. He certainly knows that Zuckerberg has more experience than him.
Well, Elon pretty much started the fight.
What actually was the root cause? Did someone talk shit?
So yeah, Elon started it. It was on Twitter. Elon said something, and then a random guy commented, and then Elon commented back, and what the guy said was, "You better watch what you say. Zuckerberg does jujitsu or something, you know."
Mm-hmm.
Just like messing around. And Elon was like, "I'll take him in a cage fight anytime." Something along those lines.
Did
That's what
Zuckerberg
Elon said.
reply to the tweet? I hope he did.
I don't know if he replied to the tweet, but somehow he got the message out that like he was like, bring it on or something. So
okay, all right. Well,
so Elon started it, and
we'll see how it ends.
Yeah.
You think it's actually going to happen?
Nothing like this has ever happened before, so it's kind of hard. I hope it happens. I really hope it happens. It's just I have a hard time seeing it since we've never had anything to this scale of like people of their stature fighting.
Right.
Like just.
I mean, what if one of them kills the other one? How does that play out?
Well, that's something I thought about is like I wonder if they're worried about like brain damage, right? Like if one gets like, I mean, obviously like one punch, like you should be fine. Like even if you get like, hit pretty,
you get
pretty
rocked,
bad,
you
but
fall down, hit your head on the mat.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what they should do? They should play for pink slips.
What does that mean?
So if Zuckerberg wins, he gets Elon's portfolio of companies.
Oh.
If Elon wins, he gets Meta.
That's hilarious. Well, so there was a kind of a feud between the two, but previous to this, did you hear about that?
Between Musk and Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Because,
I mean, all the billionaires, I feel like,
well,
go at each other.
Well, it's because Zuckerberg's saying that he's going to have a text-based social media company coming out that's going to be in competition with Twitter. So that's kind of where the heat started. And then Elon probably said something about that. I need to read the original tweet, and then it transpired from there.
I mean, Facebook, Meta, owns WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
Which is the largest international messaging platform.
Yeah, well, it's private messaging.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to turn too many knobs to turn something like that into a Twitter competitor.
Yeah. I wonder what his motivation would be for doing that, though, like wanting to create something to compete with Twitter. I don't know. I just don't think there's like too much there, but
yeah,
maybe. I just feel like Twitter's got the market, like I don't know why anyone would switch.
Fair. All right. Well, while we're on the Elon Musk topic, let's talk about a Tesla competitor that's been coming into. At least has been advertised to me a lot recently. And I just found out they're opening a dealership about 2 miles from where we're sitting.
Really?
It's actually already open. Have you heard of Polestar?
I have.
Yeah.
Seen a couple of them around.
Yeah. Any initial thoughts?
I mean,
and give a little background.
That's Volvo's company, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, they look like Volvo's.
Yeah, so it was actually...
I'm not a big fan of them, but...
Polestar was established in 1996, which is way older than I expected.
Wow.
They were actually a Volvo partner at the time, and they were called Flash Polestar Racing. And they were a racing company that would modify Volvos and race them. So nothing to do with electric vehicles or anything like that. In 2015, they'd always been partners, but they were officially acquired by Volvo. And Volvo said, we're going to take the Polestar name, and that is going to be sort of our spin-off brand for electric vehicles. So that's how Polestar kind of came about. As far as their offering goes, they have 3 vehicles. They had the Polestar 1, which is like, they only made 1,500 of them. So you can kind of think of it as like the original Tesla Roadster style, like how they came out with that and didn't produce very many. But that was $156,000. So it was a very expensive car, like $50,000 more than like a Model S. But now they've entered the market with like a more consumer level vehicle. So they have the Polestar 2 and the Polestar 3. Very creative with their naming. The 2 is a sedan, the 3 is an SUV. The sedan is a competitor of the Model 3, Tesla Model 3. And it starts, the Polestar 2, the sedan, four-door sedan, starts at $49,900, so basically $50,000 on the dot. When we compare that against the Model 3, which Tesla has been dropping prices a lot recently, like multiple times.
Yeah.
So the Model 3, and this is not factoring in any kind of like incentive, tax credit, anything like that. The Model 3 starts at $40,000. So $10,000 less than the Polestar 2. They're basically exactly the same 0 to 60 time. The Model 3 is 5.8, the Polestar is 5.9, so basically the same there. And for the extra 10 grand, you're getting about 50 miles of range. So on the Polestar 2, you get 320 miles, which is a pretty respectable number for what's out there right now. And the Model 3, you get 272 for their entry level. So I guess the question is, do you like the Model 3? Do you like the design? Do you want to be in the Tesla ecosystem? Which is important for like chargers and stuff like that.
Right.
Or do you go with the Volvo, which is like a, pretty well established company. They have, I think, some of the highest safety ratings out there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're known for. I think that's why people buy Volvos.
I mean, Polestar talks about like taking the Volvo safety and like incorporating it into like their vehicles, so they're definitely using that marketing line.
So is the Polestar 2 and 3, are they out yet? Are they? Mm-hmm. Oh, so they're on the road already.
I don't know about the 3. The 2, I literally see like 4 of them sitting in front of the dealership.
Okay.
Down the road. So
I haven't seen too many of them, but the ones I've seen, they're probably the 2s. Have they been out for like
Is it a sedan?
A year or two? Yeah, it's a sedan.
Yeah, it's probably the 2.
What's the Polestar 1 look like? Is it like actually
there's
a
only
roadster, or is it just like
of them. It honestly looks a lot like the 2.
The 2, okay, that's what I thought.
But there's so few of them.
Yeah, what are the chances?
You've probably seen the 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's interesting. I've like literally get 3 ads a day, maybe some combination of I meet enough of the things I browse as far as technology and like the proximity to the new dealership or something. Mm-hmm. But I get advertised a lot. It's not like the most attractive car to me, but it's good to have another option.
The quality seems kind of on par with what Tesla's running as far as like the interiors and stuff go.
I think it looks nicer than the Tesla on the interior, but I think a report came out today, like JD Power. You know how they do like initial quality,
right?
Which I don't really know what that means.
I don't know.
I feel like it's kind of a bullshit.
That's like when you receive the vehicle, right? Like if you don't use it, like how
what's
is
your
it?
impression of how it came from the factory?
Yeah,
maybe?
basically.
And literally Polestar, Tesla, and one other electric car company were in last place for initial quality from them.
Polestar was too.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Huh,
yeah.
That's interesting.
So I like the look of the interior better, but according to that, whatever weight we give that, because I don't think we fully understand what it means, but we have an idea.
Should look into that.
Apparently they're pretty on par in that regard.
Yeah, I mean the Teslas have had body line panel issues forever, and I still don't think they've got that fixed.
Which is like just unacceptable for a car, right?
No, like if you look at every car manufacturer, I don't care who it is, right? Toyota, Ford, GM, that's not an issue.
No.
Like maybe very, very, very rarely, but like you can look at basically any car company, panel gaps are not an issue. Right. But for some reason Tesla cannot figure it out. Like I don't know what the problem is.
I could maybe understand it on their consumer car that they're mass producing and they're just trying to get as many out as they can. But you see the same issue on their like $80,000 to $100,000 cars as well.
Yeah, like every new Model S, you
Yeah.
know, on YouTube is you know they'll go through all the issues with it.
I mean, the fact that people do like a
It's really
panel gap.
unacceptable.
I know. The fact that people do like a panel gap review video
Yeah,
on their Tesla
right.
says that
The fact that that's
you
a
have
thing.
a really big problem.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean Toyota. I mean they pump out the consumer cars too, and I mean they don't have any issues with it.
It's also
So.
a Japanese brand though. Japan tends to be on top of their quality control. They have their production pretty tight.
I'm just amazed that they haven't been able to get that figured out over all these years. But
Speaking of Toyota, I'll intro this topic just because it came up in easy transition. Toyota announced that they have basically figured out a solid state battery for their vehicles. Have you seen this?
I did.
Yeah.
I haven't read too much on it, but I saw the headline.
So the average range on a gas vehicle is about 350 to 400 miles. Like that's averaging
Yeah,
cars
like an average
and
size gas tank.
SUVs, right? As we just talked about, what we're kind of seeing for electric cars is like the high 2s to like low 300 range is like kind of what's available right now for an entry level electric car. Toyota is saying that for their V1 of their solid state battery, which important to note, they said it won't come out until like the end of basically like 2029 or something like that. So it's still like 6 years off. But they said V1 will be 750 miles on the battery, and V2 will be 900 miles on a single charge, and that it's able to be charged in 10 minutes.
Wow,
which is
that would
pretty
be
huge.
That'd be a huge difference.
It's basically doubling the average range, which I think would start to give people that aren't interested in electric vehicles like a definitive reason to switch.
Yeah, and I think that's right up Toyota's alley. You know, it's a consumer car that is for the masses. That'll save people money, get them where they need to be.
It's basically like the Prius 2.0.
Yeah, right.
Just the electric Prius, you know.
Yeah,
Reliable,
the all-electric
long range,
Prius.
cheap to fill up,
cheap to maintain and operate.
Have you seen the new Prius? It's not bad looking.
I don't know.
And they're like,
is that the one that's a hybrid, or well, they're all hybrid, but is that the one that's like plug-in something or other?
I don't know if it's a plug-in hybrid. I'm sure they have one. But they're advertising the 0 to 60 time. What do you think the 0 to 60 time on the new Prius is? They're like bragging
It's
hard
not all
about
electric, is it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like bragging hard about their 0 to 60 time, which it's not a bad time. Especially for...
I mean, since it's a hybrid and it's going to have an electric engine, like 5 seconds? Higher? Oh, 6? I thought you said they were bragging on
They
it.
are bragging on it.
8? 7?
7.1. Which apparently is faster than the current ones. Honestly, I think the current ones are like 11 or something, so... Like...
Well...
God forbid you need to get in, like, merge in a hurry, or...
Like, yeah, literally. I'm not used to cars being that slow, so that to me is just...
Yeah, so, and then one other benefit of the solid-state battery is, I guess there's, like, a liquid electrode thing. Basically, like, what are the, like, lithium batteries, how you're not supposed to, like, put them under the plane, because, like, basically if they get jabbed or poked, they'll just, like, combust.
Right.
I think that is very much an issue with, like, Teslas and stuff, is, like, if there's a really bad accident and
They catch on
the
fire.
battery thing is punctured, it, like, creates a really bad fire.
Right.
This solid state battery doesn't have whatever that liquid component is that creates those really, really hot,
Infernos.
dangerous fires. Yeah, I mean, that'd be a terrible... That'd be I would be thinking about that while I was driving the car. Like, if I get just creamed by a semi, I'm gonna burn alive in this thing. Like,
If I survive the crash, yeah.
I won't survive the exit. Yeah. So I guess the solid state battery gets rid of that, or a lot of that fire and combustion risk, which is another good step in the right direction.
Are you making coffee?
No, it's just the coffee machine's resetting itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, competition is good for Polestar. I'm happy to see that. It moves the entire industry forward. And Toyota, I mean, it's going to be huge if the new standard by 2030 is, 900 to 1,000 mile range cars.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. The state of Texas, actually, which is where we are, Tesla won I don't know if it was a lawsuit or what, but they won a case where Texas is going to require state-backed charging stations to have Tesla chargers. So if a charging station goes in and gets state money for it, they have to include the Tesla charger. Because, there's there's the standard, and then there's the Tesla proprietary. And there's been a lot of news on that lately as well, just about Ford, and I believe even GM has agreed to have come up with deals to now they're going to switch their vehicles to start using the Tesla charger.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla's already got the network, and I'm kind of surprised these companies didn't do it from the beginning, but I guess they just held out as long as they could. I'm not really sure what their motive was.
Wonder how much they're paying for that deal.
Yeah.
Got to be expensive.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Because that's like one of Tesla's main selling points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you get to stop at like nice locations.
Right. So to give that to a competitor?
And the superchargers actually work. Imagine that.
Yeah.
None of these other things ever work. You watch
I've
these
heard
like
that.
you watch these road trips with people, and maybe 50% will work and 50% won't. It's like you can't rely on that.
No, it's not good if you're like
talk about having
coming in on fumes. Well, not fumes, but coming in on electrons.
Coming in on drops of electrons. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not what you want to say. So, I mean, that's awesome for Ford and GM. Like that makes me. I've always liked the Ford Lightning truck. I think it's like a super practical vehicle with like all the little features and that massive front trunk that you can convert into a cooler. It's like that's like really cool, and the ability to turn your truck into a generator to power your house, like that's huge in Texas. Like where we get anywhere that there's hurricanes and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, people are paying $20,000 to put a generator at their home, so if they can just lump that in with the cost of their truck, no brainer.
It's a big selling point for sure. And Ford's used to doing innovation since they've been in the truck business for so long. Yeah, will be exciting to see, and I think the Ford Mach-E's been doing pretty well. I see them around.
It's a damn shame. It's a very ugly vehicle.
You don't like it?
I just
for a small SUV, I don't think it's the worst looking, especially for an electric car. Most electric vehicles, I really don't like the look of, other than Rivian.
Yeah, I don't like.
And like some of like the super expensive, crazy things.
I really don't. I'm not a fan of the Mach-E look. I don't know why. It just does not appeal to me at all.
That's fair.
Especially for the price point and the other stuff you can get. I don't know why anyone's getting the Mach-E, but it's all right. I don't have to buy one, so
that's fair. I wouldn't own one myself.
Do we want to get into a case study that I kind of wanted to talk about?
That'll
bit of a business case study.
I'm down.
Okay. So I want to talk about the American Airlines Endless Flight Pass. Have you ever heard about this?
So I know back in like the 90s, and some previous, they used to have like lifetime passes. And of course people abused it
Yeah, so I can break it down. So, in 1981, American Airlines as a company were out of cash, right? So they found that operating an airline basically requires that you operate on incredibly tight margins, and they weren't well optimized yet, and they were out of cash, so they were facing either having to raise money or close down the airline. And it was also a very high interest rate environment at the time. So for them to go get money, it wasn't like a great proposition. So what someone decided to do was to offer the American Airlines Endless Flight Pass, and this was going to be their way to kind of get a bunch of upfront money and
deal with it later on.
Basically. So what they did is they offered unlimited first class tickets for life. First class.
Wow.
I always thought when I had heard about it before, I thought it was just economy.
Yeah.
First class tickets, and it was $250,000 for that. And you could add a companion pass for an additional $150,000. So as long as you were flying, you could bring a companion for an extra $150,000. So 2 free first class flights. Which $250K sounds like a lot, right? But when they were modeling the program, they were looking at other things where someone might be offered an endless something, like endless drinks, or small. It was mainly small purchases that was their direct comparable, right? There was nothing quite as significant as like a free flight that they were able to model. And what it turned out is when someone pays $250,000 and you have something as useful as a plane ticket to anywhere at any time for free, people are really going to utilize that option. We have a cat. I thought we said no cats in the studio. So it turns out some travelers use the pass to fly as much as 10,000 times. 10,000 times.
What time span?
Like a decade or so would be my guess. Some people would fly to London or Paris just for lunch.
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
Yeah, one guy would he would offer, or he would basically just, I don't know how, I guess it was it was pre 9/11, so maybe there weren't as many restrictions on who's flying on your tickets or something like that. But he would basically just give people free flights as well. Like people he didn't even know. He'd be like, yeah, I was talking to this one guy when I was in Seattle, and he said that, he really needed to get to this country to have this surgery. So I'm like, oh, just have a free flight. So that guy went to Germany to get this surgery he couldn't get done in the U.S. or something like that.
Wow.
So I did a little math on, how much would you need to use this thing to get your money's worth? Right?
Right.
And I basically did inflation-adjusted numbers and acted like you bought it back then. Or I basically adjusted it for today and then compared it to...
If you were buying flights in today's...
Yeah, so the $250,000 in 1981, inflation-adjusted to today, is $873,000, which is a lot of inflation.
That's very significant.
The average cost of a first-class domestic flight in the U.S. is $1,000. What that means is you would have to take 873 flights in your lifetime in order to pay, just to break even on that.
Right.
Or 17 flights per year for 50 years. So assuming you're buying it when you're 30, you'd have to take 17 flights per year for the rest. I mean, assuming you're dying at 80, but, just some assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
The average cost of, and I think this is where the value is, the average cost of a first-class international flight is $3,500. So you would only need to take 250 flights, or 5 flights per year for 50 years to break even. Which you might do if you might take more trips than you currently take if you...
Yeah, exactly.
If you're getting them for free.
Right.
And I just need to get the same deal at a hotel or something. But
so American Airlines, they did international flights, I guess, back then, apparently?
Yeah. I think mainly to the international hubs, you know, so like London
London.
Heathrow and
Yeah.
like probably I don't think they did a lot of like Africa or like Asia, South Asia.
Yeah.
So mainly Europe, I think, is what it was. But they actually offered this for about like 20 to 30 years. Like it only fairly recently went away because they hired like a revenue recovery department and basically looked at
Revenue recovery.
and basically looked into this pass and like found any reason why they could contractually cancel these passes for people, which even that is kind of questionable as to if it was explicitly stated whether or not you could like give these to someone or not. But they ended up canceling or revoking like pretty much all of these, and they only sold like I think 28 of them
Is
in
that
their
all?
entire life. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Because over time, even though they're still offering it, they're raising the price. So if you wanted to buy it in like 2004, I think it was $3 million to buy it. So they adjusted based on what they were seeing kind of as they went. But in the end, it effectively doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist at all anymore because they ended up just revoking like everyone. Which I'm surprised. I thought they would have had to like pay people out.
Yeah, I mean, if you paid $3 million for it, 2004.
Well, no one bought that at $3 million.
Oh,
Yeah, so when they offered it at $3 million, no one bought it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Mark Cuban buying one when it was $250?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he sold his company, and like immediately after he sold his company, he bought one. Him and maybe someone else, and I don't know. He's got a whole story with it, but you can look it up. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So I guess the takeaway from that is one, you got to be really careful if you're ever going to offer a lifetime anything, right? And if you are going to offer that, you really got to take into account inflation for one.
Yeah,
And you
especially these days.
Yeah, and you really got to have your comps in order as far as how often you expect someone to use these things.
Or put a limit on how often they can use them.
Or cap it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the American Airlines didn't have any repercussions from this?
I think there was some lawsuits, like, you know, when they revoked it, some lawsuits came out.
I'm
but
sure.
I didn't
But
see
nothing
anything
happened?
particularly notable. Yeah. Seems like they...
I'm curious. Do you know what the loophole was that they were able to cancel these? Other than just... Because I'm sure not all 28 people let other people fly on their pass, or did they?
Yeah. I'm not sure the
Yeah.
exact loophole, but, like, from what I had read, largely, they were able to find a significant number of instances of the traveler not flying themselves. So either gifting it or selling it or, you know, even to people that, like family, right? Like,
Yeah.
pretty much everyone might be inclined to do that.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. It's a fun
It's like
marketing thing.
You have to have so much money in order to... Well, they cost so much, you know? It's like at that point, you might as well just charter a private jet. You know what I mean? Like, if you have that much money to spend on a... Like, why would you want to fly commercial? Unless it's overseas. That's a little different, but...
Unless you were looking at it at the time and saying, yeah, it's $250K, but I can sell these or something like that. You know, I can sell my pass or...
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that would fly, but maybe.
It did for some time.
Sounds like, yeah.
It did for a bit. It literally flew.
So, the short bets on U.S. stocks hit $1 trillion recently.
I'm guessing that's up.
That is up. It's the most since April of 2022. So, a lot of people betting on the downside of the stock market coming. I'm pretty uneasy with it, with just the economy and the stock market as a whole. Lots of countries, basically every other country in the world are like still raising rates, other than like Japan and us this last month. But Jay Powell talked about it last week and said that there's more rate increases coming in the future. So the market didn't like that, so we were down about 2% this week across the board.
Okay.
Yep. Keep your cash, people.
Financial advice.
Keep your powder dry.
Yeah. Interesting. Japan is also not raising interest rates at the moment.
You know how they are. They got to keep that economy running hot because I guess it's just, I'm not sure what it is with Japan exactly, but they have to keep their interest rates super low to keep their companies afloat, basically, to keep innovation going, and that's something we don't have to do here. But yeah, they're still keeping interest rates super low. They basically keep them around zero at all times. So yeah,
Interesting. So I took one of your suggestions from last week and I started using the Spotify AI DJ. I'm liking it.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah. No, I am too.
So yeah, just to
you find any new music that it's suggesting to you?
I haven't found a lot of new, but I've refound a lot of old, if that makes sense.
So it's like, yeah, it's going back in your history and finding things that you used to listen to frequently.
Which I think historically it would have like put into a playlist that I would have then had to find myself. You know, it would have been like, which I just wouldn't do because I don't really look through the playlists.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that, you click on the DJ and it for me, the first time I did it, it played like something very familiar that I'd been listening to like a week before. Like that's how it started. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, all right, I feel like they must have like certain scripts or something because it was a little weird because it was like, and now we're going to throw it back to something you were listening to when you were growing up. And it was like The Weeknd. So it was like, The Weeknd, the artist, who was, like, became popular in like 2010 onward.
Yeah.
So either
that's really funny.
So either my birth date is wrong in Spotify, which could be what it's using. I doubt that though.
Yeah.
I
don't know why they would say growing up.
Yeah.
Like a 60-year-old dude. What?
But then I'm a big punk rock fan, which surprises a lot of people when I tell them that.
Surprises me still to this day.
And so then it got into a little bit of Green Day. We got some Green Day in there. We got some 21 Pilots. Some you could argue if it's punk rock, but Machine Gun Kelly. Kind of threaded all that together. I like that a lot. I listen to that to like a whole work day. So I'm a fan, and I skip things when I don't like them. I'm assuming it's using that as, how on like Instagram Reels, if you almost have to be. This is a thing about that I dislike about the short format. You have to be aggressive in telling it what you don't like, or it's going to fuck up your feed. So, if I'm swiping on like Instagram Reels and it starts showing me a video that like I'm just not interested in, I'm like trying to get that shit gone because I don't want it to like be feed like God forbid I leave my phone open on my desk and like go to the restroom. I'm not seeing anything I'm wanting to see for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a very aggressive algorithm. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. Like, man, I was like multitasking and I like did that once and it was like, man, this guy just loves wheat farming.
Weed?
Wheat.
Oh, wheat.
No, not weed.
Wheat farming.
Wheat farming, yeah. And it's like, I swear, I was getting so many combines in my feed.
That looks like my phone.
Yeah.
International Harvester.
Yeah, exactly. Started getting fed John Deere ads.
I love that.
Man. Yeah. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
how like
farm.
Have you had that same experience? Like, if you watch the entirety of something
yeah.
once, you'll at least get a few more.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't swipe off of them right away, you're right. Yeah, it'll just keep feeding you that. I think they also have a button though that you can actually go into and hit like, don't show things like this or something, and it'll like push it off. But no one takes the time to do that.
Don't show the summer harvest.
Stop showing me fertilizer.
Yeah, I get you put on a watch list. But yeah, so I'm assuming every time I skip a song on Spotify, it's using that to make its recommendations a little bit better.
Yeah.
So good
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah. Glad to have made it. I still am kind of swing back to just going to my liked list or my recent playlist,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm incorporating some here and there. So yeah, it's good to help change it up. Have you heard about the 340,000 UPS drivers that are going to be potentially striking if they don't reach an agreement by the end of July?
Regarding an agreement regarding what?
Well, okay, so it's the Teamsters union, which reminds me a lot of Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew I'd heard that somewhere.
So it's still around. The Teamsters union's still around.
Isn't that in New York?
I don't know if it's just UPS drivers or if it's like all delivery drivers are included in this Teamsters union. But anyway, in this case, it's the UPS, and pretty much what they're asking for is they want air conditioning in their trucks.
Seems reasonable.
It seems reasonable. I mean, up north, it's like, it may not be as big of a deal, but down here, it's been hovering around 100 degrees for the last week.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that for the past 2 summers, so we're kind of not quite as used to it anymore. But yeah, it's been abnormally hot here. So down here, yeah, I can see that's going to be that could be very important. So UPS is kind of like preliminarily agreed to the air conditioning in the new trucks they order starting January 1st of 2024. So yeah, they're not.
Okay.
I don't know if I
not
didn't
gonna
see.
help them this
I didn't
summer.
see. No, it's not. No, it's not. I didn't see anything about them adding air conditioning. Maybe they're going to add fans or something to the old trucks. I don't know. But all the new ones, they're supposed to have that required if they can come to this agreement. But they're also asking for a lot of other things. They want pay increases. They want like more full-time opportunities.
If they just put the
And some
fans
other
in the
things.
trucks, would they strike? If they get their fans?
It sounds like that's the biggest deal.
Okay.
That's the biggest deal. So I would say I think they're going to get it worked out. My gut feeling is they're going to get it worked out. This would be, think about that. If 340,000 UPS drivers went on
I
strike,
mean, shit, that's like
Just-
all of them.
just for like a couple days, that would like completely throw off like logistics of
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. I mean, mainly consumer items, but they ship a lot for businesses and other things too, so.
I mean, businesses do certified mail all the time for tons of important stuff.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the only it'd be the biggest strike since the steelworkers strike of 1959, where roughly 500,000 steelworkers walked out for nearly 4 months.
Did they want fans too? What the steel workers want?
Probably higher
Not
pay.
to work 23 hours a day.
They wouldn't be over 11.
Yeah.
Over 11 years old.
Reminds me of the old chimney sweep rebellion.
Yeah. Did they make you do that when you were in London?
I swept a few chimneys in my day. Yeah, I came out all sooty.
Yes.
Yeah. But, the children yearn for the mines.
Children yearn for the mines. They yearn for the meat.
Okay, so I'm thinking if there's anything else there. So yeah, that would not be good if they all went on strike. So they're gonna do something. There's no way they're gonna let effectively that shut down for even a few days.
No.
They'll come to some agreement, I'm sure.
They're gonna come to some agreement. I'm almost positive.
Okay, so I saw something interesting today. You're familiar with the tremendous food chain Outback Steakhouse?
Yes, I am familiar.
Anything strike you as interesting when you go into an Outback? Have you ever been?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been to an Outback.
What country of origin would you say Outback is from?
Well, I mean, Australia.
You think, are they from Australia?
Are they?
Do you think the owners are Australian?
Oh no, it's an Australian theme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an Australian theme. So I was reading today.
Yeah, no, they're American or Canadian.
They're American.
Yeah.
I was reading today that when the owners were founding Outback, they never visited Australia. They thought that if they actually brought any Australian cuisine onto the menu, it might like freak out American audiences. So they really wanted to just make it like basically an American steakhouse with an Australian theme.
Right.
Which is exactly what it is if you've ever been into one.
Oh yeah.
Like, believe me, the bloomin' onion.
They've got the bloomin' onion.
The bloomin' onion is not an Australian staple. All right.
Are you telling me?
You
What even is Australian food? Kangaroo?
I'm sure someone's cooked a kangaroo.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
I'd eat a kangaroo.
I mean, you think they do like a turducken style thing where they put a baby kangaroo in the pouch of the bigger kangaroo and they cook it all?
Wait, did you say they put a... Wait, say that again?
It's like a Russian nesting doll, you know?
A kangaroo inside a kangaroo?
Kangaroo, yeah.
Wow.
And you cook it like a turducken.
Well, turducken are 3 different animals. It's a turkey, a duck,
That's
and a chicken.
Alright, so you put a giant spider
inside a rabbit. inside a rabbit. Inside a kangaroo.
The koala's got to be in there somewhere. It's an Australian staple.
So is the rabbits. They took over the country. They literally had, they have to poison rabbits over there.
Really?
Yeah. Because what happened... Well, I'm going to get to a whole history lesson here.
No, go ahead, please.
So, obviously it used to be a prison camp, right? Mm-hmm. So the rich guys from England would go over there and hunt. And they'd like to hunt rabbits. So but there were no rabbits there. So they brought over rabbits from another country and put them there. Well, there was no natural predator to the rabbit.
Makes sense.
In Australia. Well, you know the saying about how rabbits multiply.
Breed like a rabbit.
Yeah. So the rabbits took over the whole country, basically. Every farm, everything. They couldn't grow anything. The rabbits ate it all. Plant a carrot, see what happens. Plant a carrot.
I guess you won't have very high carrot yields in Australia.
The carrot yields were in the negatives. Those poor carrot farmers.
So can you imagine? They show up to Australia and they're like, finally opened the carrot farm I've always wanted.
Carrots and celery, I've always
wanted to grow. You fucking thought. That's interesting. So anyway, I think the takeaway on Outback Steakhouse is they really know their audience. They know that, interestingly enough, they do serve Australian beer and wine. So they do serve something from Australia.
I guess you gotta do, yeah. If you're gonna be an American steakhouse, you gotta at least serve, what is it, is it that kangaroo wine?
Barefoot? I don't think that's Australian. Oh, no, not Barefoot. Wait.
No. Is that the kangaroo wine? No, it's not Barefoot.
Oh, okay.
Barefoot literally has a picture of a foot on it.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm sure it's not the most expensive
one. Yeah, it's probably that.
Yeah. They have really good, their bread's pretty solid. And if you want to, honestly, their steaks aren't bad.
No, their food's actually not bad. I'm not hating on them. I've ate their food not too long ago, but I haven't ate inside one in years.
Yeah, I was going pretty regularly.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I remember having a steak there a long time ago. It was fine. It was,
Yeah, it's like a low $20 fillet. It's not
Yeah.
too bad. You know.
I probably had a ribeye, but yeah.
Yeah, but probably also not more than $20, $20 some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't.
So if you want a steak, I mean, and you want a wonderful Australian theme,
Yeah.
then there you go.
Well, maybe if they incorporate the. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out how to get vegans to eat meat, as I referred to earlier, as they yearn for the meat.
They yearn for the meat.
They yearn for the meat. I was referring to, to vegans. But
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Got it.
that stemmed from the. I sent you that picture the
The
other
children.
day, right?
Yeah.
From the Whole Foods.
Remind me.
The
Describe it.
okay, so at Whole Foods, on sale was a
Okay. Yeah, I remember. But-
K-cup
Yeah.
of vegan bone broth. Vegan bone broth.
What are they even? How are
I
they
don't-
even getting the flavor?
Okay, I have I've got a whole thing about this. Okay, for one, like here's the deal, right?
Yeah.
Like I drink bone broth because it's good. It's good for you, because of like the health benefits of it.
Is it
I don't
beef,
like.
beef bone broth.
Well, you can get beef or chicken.
What do you
or-
drink?
I prefer the beef.
Okay.
Yeah, but so let's just and then that's the flavor. This was beef bone broth, right? But it's vegan beef bone, so I don't even know what it's made of. And yeah, right. Like, what are you going to flavor that as? But my whole qualm with this is, we're drinking this for the health benefits of it. So if you're just putting this crap in a K cup, whatever you're serving, it's nothing. Like you're just going to be having this taste for no reason, no health benefits at all. Actually, negative health benefits, because K cups are horrible for you. It's basically cancer in a cup.
Microplastics. Yeah.
Right, microplastics. So anyway, the whole point of the story is these things were originally on sale for like $15 a piece, and they were marked down to $1 something.
That
Literally
is insane.
$1 something.
That means they are not selling at all.
Literally, think about that. That's like a 98% like markdown.
Can you imagine? I would be furious if I woke up in the morning. I'm a little tired, you know. I go to make myself a nice cup of joe to wake myself up, and some fucker put vegan bone broth through it before, and now my coffee tastes like vegan bone, like stewed beets.
Oh, well, you got to think about like what are they flavoring this with? It can't be like how could it be natural? I mean, it could be natural maybe, but like, what are you gonna find that's natural that tastes like beef bone broth? Like
Tree.
You know? Yeah, tree bark or something. I don't know.
That's like the closest I
It's
can
just,
even think of.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of vegans.
Probably not the most successful product they're selling at Whole Foods.
The owners of that company need to march straight down to the bankruptcy court. Straight on to it.
It's just so disgusting to put it in a K cup too. I mean,
The whole thing is disgusting.
even if it was,
I mean, if it was in a bottle and it was vegan bone broth, like I'd be just as disgusted as in this K cup. It's weirder though that it's in a K cup
because it has to go through the machine.
It's weirder. Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, I would be.
When I first saw it, I actually didn't realize it was a K cup. You know, because it was just in like a cardboard box. I didn't like. I don't know. I don't know what I thought it was, but yeah. Then I saw that and I was like, wow, this is weird.
I would be grossed out by like real bone broth in a K cup. It's just gross.
That's because you would literally have ground bones in a K cup.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Did you, on that note,
just actual bone inside a K cup? Oh,
yeah,
you're something else.
That's pretty nasty. I wouldn't drink it.
I'm not drinking anything vegan.
I wouldn't drink the
technically water
standard bone broth out of the K cup.
No. That's good. Okay, let's move on. Please.
Well, 10% of our podcast was
Be about bone
bone
broth.
broth, K-cup talk.
I would
very
recommend
niche.
drinking bone broth though. It's very good for you. It's got collagen. It's healthy.
One last question
Uh-huh.
about the bone broth.
Mm-hmm.
How is it different than like how is it different than what's the word? You know, like how the base of a lot of soups is just like chicken stock,
Yeah.
which is literally just water boiled in with a chicken carcass.
Yeah.
So how is that different than just stock? How is bone broth different than a stock you would use to make a soup?
I think a lot of the juice in regular stock would come from like the meat.
It's like the whole carcass.
I think bone broth is you're just boiling the bones themselves.
That makes sense.
So you're really extracting more from it.
That makes sense because
Yeah.
if you want to make your own broth, you would get like a rotisserie chicken, right?
Right.
Eat the chicken,
Yes.
but there'd still be some on it, and then you would boil that whole thing, so you would get more of the meat.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. God, we really
Got our in-house
fully explored that
in-house
topic.
chef here.
Um,
Man, it's the bone broth special.
so I am
I'm gonna do
out
a
of
health
standard
segment every week.
topics. Yeah, sure. Zach's. Yeah, you could
Bring on some friends. Yeah.
put on.
Be good.
Yeah, it might be interesting. I'm out of standard topics. Do you have any more? If not, we can talk about the coup in Russia.
Yeah. Sounds good. Let's see. No, I've got a few things left.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, I just have one thing left, which is following up on the PGA Live merger.
Okay.
Not much to follow up on from last week's podcast, but the PGA Tour does plan to testify at the U.S. Senate hearing, so might be interesting to see what happens on that.
And they'll probably get asked about why did the commissioner like switch his stance on the deal, or
I'm sure that'll be part of it. I mean,
or they might just because they're talking about
the biggest deal is it's
antitrust. Right?
Antitrust, yeah. So, they're going to be the only professional golf association. They already were, now you're combining your only competition. It's like, is this thing going to go through or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. So,
Interesting.
all right.
All right.
The Russian
My
rebellion.
very uneducated Russian coup update. So, are you familiar with the Wagner Group?
Slightly.
Okay.
But please explain, because I feel like people need to have a little background on this.
Yeah. So when you think about the Russian military, there is the traditional Russian military, right? The well, at this point they're conscripted, right? So
The Putin cadets.
yeah. And then you have that's the standard Russian military, and then you have the Wagner Group, which is a private military organization.
Which has no affiliation to the Russian government.
I mean, everything in Russia is affiliated with the Russian government.
I guess it'd have to be to some point, otherwise they wouldn't allow it. They just
you're familiar with like oligarchs in Russia, like these very rich Russians that typically are politically attached, but they're basically in Russia they're often given big pieces of industry, so they'll be like, you're the oil and gas oligarch, you're the healthcare whatever, right? So they tend to lead these sectors, and they're like all of them are like billionaires for the most part.
It's a good gig.
So this guy is an oligarch, and he runs the head of the Wagner Group.
Oh, is an oligarch.
Is an oligarch.
Oh, interesting.
And
I mean, I guess that makes
basically
sense.
they've been fighting. It's really interesting. They've been fighting alongside, but also in competition with the Russian army, and that's really important because it's not the sort of structure where the Russian army and the Wagner Group are working together, like you might expect. Like, I bet if the U.S. government and Blackwater were together, they'd, be covering each other's backs and stuff like that.
Right.
The Russian military and Wagner are like, they've basically been told, like Wagner's been, early on was told, like, hey, if you claim this part of land, or if you, like, go claim this land in Ukraine, that's your land. And so they're, like, incentivizing the military to, like, take these areas and, like, not work with each other. So if, like, the Russian military takes some land, then it's like...
So they're going to try to take separate areas. So they're actually not fighting alongside each other. They're fighting against the same people, but they're fighting for different areas, because...
I mean, they're basically incentivized to take as much land as they can, and
right.
the smart thing would be to fight over different areas, but oftentimes those areas overlap. So there's this really interesting dynamic of, like, competition between this private military group and the Russian army. And so, like, that's the first thing you have to sort of understand, is that, like, it's not this, like, traditional military structure. And so I guess sometime on Friday, this is the 23rd of June, 2023, a Russian unit attacked a Wagner camp in Russia for some reason. So basically there was infighting between the two groups. And the head of Wagner came out and said that was basically, like, the jumping off point, and he was pissed at the leaders of the Russian military. So not really Putin, but specifically the Department of the Military.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to wherever their headquarters is. I don't think it's Moscow, and, like, basically, like, talk to these guys. And they were basically saying, we're not going to talk to you. Like, we're not interested in having words with you. So he said, all right, I'm going to take my 25,000 mercenaries, and we're just going to come to you, and we're going to talk.
Oh, boy.
So they went with tanks.
Seems a little threatening.
Yeah, with tanks, and surrounded the Department of the Military, or whatever. I think that's the translation to English.
Yeah.
The Department of the Military. So they surrounded, like, the building in Russia where the heads of the Russian military are, with tanks in the streets. It's a crazy fucking picture.
That's wild.
Yeah. And so they've, like, surrounded this building. I don't know what happened there, but...
And the Russian military didn't bring in their own military to, like, stop this?
Well, 90% of Russia's military is in Ukraine right now.
Oh, wow.
So there was, like, a big opportunity for all of these mercenaries to just flow into Russia. And then...
That's crazy.
I guess they didn't get what they wanted there, or the people they wanted weren't there, or something, because...
Yeah, I wouldn't have been there.
And then they hacked the state television network, and so the head of the Wagner group is in front of every Russian on TV.
No way.
Saying, we're going to Moscow. We'll be in Moscow by, 2 days from now. We won't kill you if you don't stand against us. And we want you to join us, because this is the side to be on now.
Wow.
That's
wild,
fucking
dude.
crazy.
That is crazy.
So they started their advance to Moscow. Putin came out and accused the head of the Wagner group of treason, which seems like it is treason. People throw treason around a lot. This feels like treason. Yeah. But it should be noted that this is not a good... The head of the Wagner group is not a good person. I'm not going to say what he is, because I don't think you can say that on YouTube, but he's not... He's basically a very racist individual that wants to exterminate a certain group of people.
I see.
And so he's not a good guy, but it's kind of like this, if Putin and him are fighting, then they're not spending their time elsewhere,
Yeah.
So it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess, to some extent.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. And I think...
So is this guy's plan to go to Moscow and do what? Overthrow Putin?
Well, something came out right before we started filming that I think... who's to say if it changes, but it sounds like the head of Belarus has negotiated a deal. This is crazy. I don't
Old
know.
Belarus.
He negotiated a deal between the head of Wagner and Putin. And the last I heard is the Wagner group is returning to Ukraine. So I don't know why. I don't know what he gained as far as the head of Wagner, like, to make him turn around, because, I mean, he has the biggest target on his back right now. Like, there's no way that Putin lets that fly.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
it is quite literally breaking news. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah.
But yesterday and today are a day when you're definitely witnessing history. Any questions?
For
on
sure.
That? Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I think, yeah, it's something to watch and just see how it plays out. But yeah, I am very surprised about that that they just walked away from Moscow that easily. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Yeah, what was said or what was agreed to. But yeah, wow, that is
It's pretty wild.
really neat.
Yeah. You see coups and things like that from time to time, but never with such a large superpower.
I mean, Putin is really lucky they didn't, do something more drastic, because like you said, all their military is out and about right now. So it's like they're pretty much wide open for like an
invasion.
in-house attack.
Yeah. I saw a funny thing. It was like, before the war started, we thought Russia was the second most powerful military in the world. Some would say. Some would argue China. And then we found out that after some time, they weren't even the second most powerful army in Ukraine. And then we found out the Russian military isn't even the most powerful military in Russia.
Oh, that's an amazing quote. I love that. That is so true. It's so true, I mean, other than their nuclear capabilities, I mean, excluding that, yeah, it's really funny.
Which, who even knows if their missiles and things really work? I mean, I'm sure they have enough that a few of them do.
Yeah.
Which is all you really need, but I mean, with the state of like some of the tanks they brought onto the battlefield, literally stuff from like World War II.
Yeah.
They are definitely not the military superpower I thought they were, and I think a lot of people thought they were.
For sure.
Which I guess is somewhat comforting.
Yeah, I mean, I wish China was that way as well, but I have a feeling they're going to be a little more advanced. Of course, I don't know. It's a whole other tangent. I don't know if we need to get into it right now, but the Chinese military, they basically steal all their ideas. Just China in general, they take all their ideas technologically wise and military wise from, I mean, mainly from us Western countries. And I just saw something like, China's economy is really going to be in bad shape in the coming years, because just like the things they're teaching in schools, like all like memorization and stuff like that, and they're just not really advancing. They're not advancing as like
they're not teaching like
as
critical
they should be.
Thinking or like discovery.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it.
They're just teaching like tried and true ideas.
Yeah, so they've got a big military, and I'm sure they have nuclear capabilities, but
do we know that?
I don't know. I mean,
I feel like it's just assumed because they're such a large, like, because they are a superpower.
You never really hear about it like you do with Russia.
Right.
Like Russia's got nuclear capabilities.
Maybe it's just because they're less inclined to hit the big red button that you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely more stable. Their leadership is more stable than Russia.
Yes.
As far as like not just nuking the world into oblivion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. They're not actively.
They're more
attacking other countries.
They're more like super economy growth. Like that's where they're focused.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, they are threatening Taiwan, which is we'll see how that plays out in the next few years. Hopefully they don't do that. But yeah, I heard that Taiwan Semiconductor is willing to, if China invades, that they will themselves blow up their entire plant. Like they have it ready to go.
Wait, semiconductor?
So TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, that makes all the chips for Apple.
Oh.
They're in Taiwan. You know, that's where all of our chips come from.
Why? What's the benefit of them blowing themselves up?
If China invades, they don't want China to take over their factories and have their technology. So they have their factory rigged to blow up.
That's got to be comforting to work in every day.
Which is crazy because like it's a huge campus.
Can you hand me the wrench to the right of the stick of dynamite? Just please don't smoke in here. That's interesting. Wow, that is dire.
Yeah, I assume they have it rigged, ready to go. I don't know, but they said. I mean, they clearly said they'd rather blow it up than have China take it over. So, you never know what's gonna happen.
Man, better not go around testing any light switches.
I'm telling you. Why is this light switch red? Oh man, you think about the technology and like the machines they have in that place. I mean, you're talking about like billions and billions of dollars. It's crazy to think about. But yeah, I mean, I know they're building here in the U.S. In different states as quick as they can to diversify.
Yeah, it seems like they should pick up as much as they can and ship it and set up a little operation here.
Yeah, they're working on it. I think they're building one in Georgia and I believe one in Arizona.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Maybe Texas too. I'm not sure.
Cool.
That's what I got.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, we would appreciate it if you subscribed or followed or basically hit the buttons that mean good things for us. We'd appreciate it. It's hopefully not a lot of effort for you, but we enjoy putting this on, and it really helps us. Oh, yeah, tremendous, more than you know, especially since we're still trying to grow. So, if that's it, we'll see you next week. It's been Fireside Chats with Luke and Zuck.
Have a good one.